Thank you to everyone who made the time to learn more about our Jefferson County Commissioner candidates. Thanks to the candidates for participating. I am Whitney Bell, your moderator for the evening. I am a lifelong resident and military veteran, and I am acting on my own accord as a community member this evening. My resume includes having been a civil affairs specialist with the Army, a local business owner, a Madras Downtown Association board member, and a board member of this Madras Saturday Market. Currently, I continue to serve the public as a postal carrier and a City of Madras councilwoman with representation on the EDCO board and representation on the COIC board. About the format tonight. At this time, please silence your cell phones. Candidates are not permitted to use their phones with the exception of a necessitated accommodation. This is a forum, not a town hall. I will not be taking questions from the floor. County residents have had the opportunity to submit questions prior to this event. I've made minor adjustments for clarity. The candidates are all aware of the format and time limits. There will be a 2-minute time limit for each question. Our timer will raise a yellow flag with 30 seconds remaining and a red flag when the time is up. When the red flag appears, I will move to the next candidate. Staff from the Jefferson County Library are assisting in recording the forums, and they will be posted in a few days through the Chamber of Commerce. I will do my best to stay within the 90 minutes set aside for this event. There is a possibility that we will run over our time allotment. I will be firm in our time and ask that candidates withhold debate dialogue or personal side comments to one another. The confidentiality of the process. These questions have not been shared with candidates. I've organized the questions by topic as best as I could. The candidates have not received the questions in advance, and the questions at our forums will all be different. The questions I have asked will be available to the candidates after each forum. The process. We will begin with opening statements. Each candidate will introduce themselves to you. Several questions came up repeatedly from the community that I have asked them to address. What is your background and your history of civic activities, paid or volunteer, with the county? How long have you been part of Jefferson County? How have you been involved with county governance? What inspired you to be a candidate and why are you qualified? And how will your day-to-day schedule adapt to meet the demands of a county commissioner? After opening remarks, the first 2 questions are for everyone, and each person has up to 2 minutes to answer. Everyone is asked a different question. At the end of each round, I'll ask if any candidate would like to answer one question that was asked of another candidate. They will then provide a 1-minute response. All right, we will begin with our opening statements. George?
I'm George Curtis. I was raised in Central Oregon in Crooked River Ranch. I've lived in Jefferson County almost all my life. I'm married. I have 2 children. My kids are 28 and 27 years old. The reasons some that I chose to run is that I want to preserve our public lands and preserve farmland from being developed. Some of the other things I would like to do is increase public safety and economic development, which I will share my ideas with you today. Some of the places I volunteer and work with is I'm a member of the Crooked River Ranch Lions Club, and I'm also a member of the Elks, as well as I referee high school football. So those are the things I like to do. And I served 4 years in the United States Marine Corps and also 18 years and 6 months in the Oregon Army National Guard. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all for being here tonight. I know you had many other opportunities to do tonight, and probably sitting here listening to us is probably not number one, but appreciate you all being here tonight. Mark Wunsch, I'm your current county commissioner for position 1. I've been in this role for 3.5 years. Born and raised in Jefferson County. I always like coming out to Camp Sherman. We come out at least once a year as commissioners, and it just kind of reminds me of my home place, my home ranch, which is in timber ground. Probably not as good as timber as you guys got here, but definitely one of the few areas that has similar timber, and love that opportunity every time. So born rancher, cattle, timber, hay farm. Went to Madras High School, went on to Blue Mountain Community College, and then on to Eastern Oregon University, got a general business degree from Oregon State. Came back, worked for a couple different outfits in field agronomy, working with farmers, whether it's carrot seed, grass seed, hay production, all those things. Got approached by a friend that you should run for county commissioner. And at first I blew him off and said, no, I don't have time for that. I enjoy my ranch. I enjoy what I'm doing. But the more I looked into it, the more that I heard neighbors and friends that were going out of business in the farming and ranching industry, going through our severe drought. I knew that I had to step up and be a voice for the farming and ranching and natural resource industry. So that's why I'm here today. I know there's a couple things that is very near and dear to your guys' heart out here. Public safety, land use, TOT, and probably community wildfire protection plan. And so I'll address some of those things later on. And if they don't come up, definitely do it in my closing. So thank you all for being here tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you to the chamber and everyone here tonight. My name is Greg Mead, running for position 2. I'll tell you why position 2 in a moment, but first, why am I running? When my wife and I first moved to Jefferson County, I wasn't looking for a campaign. I was looking to do work. I went to work with Warm Springs Behavioral Health, building a recovery mentor program, while my wife opened a youth drop-in center and hired a peer support staff. Almost immediately, we hit a wall. There was little to no collaboration between providers in that space, and that didn't make sense because the need is profound. Oregon ranks last in behavioral health access, and Jefferson County is last in the state. So how does that happen? Well, the county relies on a single provider, Best Care. And for over 20 years, it has operated as a closed system with very, very limited collaboration, limited accountability, and no meaningful improvement in outcomes. So when you hear we're at the bottom, that's not by accident. That's been a choice. And that's why I'm running. Now, why position 2? Because the incumbent oversees both Best Care and public safety, and those two are directly connected. When treatment fails, law enforcement carries the load. This isn't a one-issue campaign. Mental health and addiction impact everything: public safety, families, workforce, and economic development. If we don't fix this system, nothing else we talk about tonight will truly improve. And I'll say this plainly: the current approach to these vital services has failed our most vulnerable neighbors. We must do better, and I'm here and running to make sure that we do. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. My name is Ara. Lower. Okay. I moved to Oregon 26 years ago, and my first job was up at Hoodoo Ski Resort, and my second job was for Mrs. Tony Foster. And when she got a hold of me and my friend who graduated with a forestry degree from NAU, Northern Arizona University, the first thing she did was have me fix some of the clapboard siding on the Black Butte School, start working on porches and decks out here, and give the headwater of the Metolius tour. I graduated from Boston University. My friend graduated from NAU. We came out here after we graduated. I have a wife. I have 2 children. My oldest just graduated from Sisters High School. We chose them there because they have an aviation program. She is currently a freshman at U of O. She is on the sailing team. She is something else. She's half Armenian and half Sicilian, and it's very hard to talk to her these days. I've been out here a lot. When I ran the bar at Hoodoo, it's night skiing on Friday and Saturday night. I used to come here on Friday and Saturday night and stay at my friend's house. His name was John Batty. He was the head of the ski patrol. I've been out here many times. I know that the building that we are sitting in was renovated, and when you went and asked Jefferson County for money, they told you no. And then you had to go to the Roundhouse and tell them that you were short $20,000, and they told you, we'll give you 10. And then you had to go and do a fundraiser on your own. God lives in the details out here, and that's where I live. I know those insulated curtains were not here 2.5 years ago, and I know how hard it was to get something like that here. Being out here is not lost on me. My children worked at Camp Tamarack as counselors. They went there as campers. I worked right down the street at the Headwaters. My children go to school at Sisters. I came out here when I needed a place to stay and work. I know also that you will not vote for the political sign that is out there, because that's typically the person you don't vote for. And that's why I never put a sign out here. I learned that about 15 years ago. Thank you for your time.
I'm Bill Atherton, and my wife and I live in Madras, and I've been here for 26 years. We've tried to develop a youth education facility down on Trout Creek at our farm, conservation camp, like for that we enjoyed when we were in New York State as children. It's been a kind of a difficult task, and I've ended up spending a lot of my time working on land use issues, which I have a lot of familiarity with. I've been in state, regional, local government, but I earned my living restoring historical buildings. Last time I was in this room, however, Pete Magdashay and I were sitting over there. Becky Johnson was sitting over here. The County Planning Commission was all up in front. We were dealing with ballot measure 37, which had narrowly passed in Jefferson County. And they made the mistake of, they weren't listening to any of the people here in this room, which is a similar problem what we've got going on today. And they asked me to stand up and explain to people why, what would I tell them about Measure 37. And I said just three little words: you were tricked. And the room exploded in applause. But the county commissioners, the county planning commissioners, they all grimaced and basically gave me the equivalent of the universal vote of no confidence. Anyway, that's why I'm doing this again, because the state land use planning system has goofed up and you've been tricked again.
Good evening, everybody. I forget this isn't live. My name is Kelly Simmelink. I'm one of your current county commissioners in seat number 2. I was elected in 2018, so I've been in this role since then. Good to be with you all tonight. A little bit about me. I grew up on my folks' horse ranch between Metolius and Madras, and went to college up in the Portland area. Went into business for myself in 1992. Continued that in the Portland vicinity until about 2004, and just a desire to get back over to my hometown. And so I came back and I started a business very similar to the one I had in Portland in 2005. I have a wife of 27 years. My oldest son is 21, my middle boy is 18, and my daughter is 16. So I'm highly involved in learning the new lingo of how kids talk nowadays. Besides being in business and being your current county commissioner, I dedicate a tremendous amount of hours per year in volunteerism through coaching. I just finished up actually coaching the inaugural year of the Madras High School girls flag football team, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. But I MC auctioneer. My dad was an auctioneer. I MC virtually every event that happens in Jefferson County, as well as hosting when the dignitaries such as our federal delegation come to town. I'm normally the MC for those events. I ran to continue the operations that the county commissioners had done for so many years so well, that I thought that they'd done so well. And I think we put ourselves in a really, really good financial position, as well as just a steady organization delivering excellent customer service. I hope you feel that way. And that's my story. So again, nice to be out here with you. Thank you to the Chamber for having this event. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, we will start our round with our questions. Mark, it's going to be you. What personal or professional accomplishment has been the most rewarding to you, and how does that experience relate to your position as county commissioner?
Yeah, so I think there's quite a few things that I could talk about, whether it's funding that's come back at the state or federal level. that we can leverage, whether it's roads, whether it's infrastructure. But I'm going to jump in and do something that I think is the core, the mission, the value, and some of the grassroots stuff. When I started 3.5 years ago, we had quite a bit of turnover in county staff, and it got very frustrating every time you turn around, and we got 2 or 3 more people leaving. And part of the role of the county commissioner is interviewing and hiring directors, leaders of the counties in all the departments. They're the experts of whether it's public safety, public works, health, whatever it is. They're the directors, and so I've had the opportunity to interview and hire quite a few directors, and they've been able to hire their staff. And when I first started, it seemed like we were about 15 to 20 open positions that we were trying to recruit for all the time. And now we're down to less than 5. And that's been consistent. And I think that really shows testament to our leaders, of our directors, as well as the quality of our staff that could provide service in their departments for you. And when it comes down to training and then turnover, the dollars add up really quickly when you do that. And so when you have good staff, you want to keep those good staff and develop them, make sure that they're good leaders, and make sure they're growing as individuals and as employees of the county. And so I'm really proud of some of those stats and where we're at, and proud of the team that we have. So thank you.
Thank you. Greg, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thank you. In 2021, my wife and I co-founded an organization called Shriponya. And that word means beautiful healing in 2 different languages. I come to what I've been doing with that nonprofit from lived experience. I'm a recovering alcoholic since 2011. And the organization focuses, first of all, on youth peer support. And peer support is a certification. People get certified by the state in order to provide ongoing assistance and support for people struggling from either intergenerational trauma or substance use disorder. We've taken that organization from my wife Jennifer and I self-funding it to an organization that serves Jefferson County exclusively. We provide youth peer support. We have a drop-in center for youth that's open 2 days a week. The organization is also in 509J, providing peer support at Bridges High School, and also K8 on the reservation. We work closely with other community benefit organizations and Jefferson County Public Health. One of the things that is critical in an organization like ours is you have to get really creative regarding funding, and particularly in light of the way that funding is being cut for nonprofits. We've been creative. In fact, 3 different times we've taken grant opportunities that the county had not been aware of and requested. Oh.
Thank you, Greg.
I saw the red sign. I've got to get used to the red sign. Right. Yeah. I forgot.
Ara.
Yes. For about 10 years, it's coming up on 12 now, I've been volunteering on Crooked River Ranch. 6 different committees. Right now I'm on the Firewise committee. Our insurance on our houses was escalating so rapidly that we tried to become a Firewise community, and that took 135,000 hours of time for our citizens and our members to work on the ranch, adding corrugated metal, fireproofing homes, cutting down trees, going through our burn piles. But I rose as high as the vice president of the HOA on Crooked River Ranch. I put in over 2,000 hours on the ranch over a course of 10 years. 3 years ago, I came out here and I met with a small group of people, and we talked about splitting a sheriff deputy because we were so frustrated on the ranch that we could get no sheriff deputy time. Right now, we get 8 hours a month. That's 8 hours a month. And what I came away from that meeting here was that you will never vote for a tax increase again because you feel like every tax dollar that gets taxed upon you goes to somewhere else. I sympathize with that. And I see that library bond on there right now, and I think, my goodness, wouldn't you love to be a part of the Deschutes County library system when there is a library 25 minutes away from here instead of an hour and 20 minutes? And I know this. I will never stand in the way of you guys dictating your own future. I will help you any way I can because I understand what it's like living out there on the ranch, and what we put in and what we get back is less than 10% rate of return. And it is unacceptable. And it ends now. I cannot stress this enough. I wouldn't be here today if the commissioners gave us anything back. And I'm talking anything. We get less TOT funds than you. We get $8,750 a year. In the last 4 years, we put in $500,000. You guys have put in about $1.25 million in the last 5 years. I am conscious of this. This keeps me up at night. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ara. Bill, would you like me to repeat the question?
Do you want to repeat the question?
Say again.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
If you'd like for the audience, that's great.
What personal or professional accomplishment has been the most rewarding to you, and how does that experience relate to your position as county commissioner?
Now I get to decide whether I'm going to answer it because I focused most of my professional government career dealing with the question of livability versus population growth. And I had to leave Sacramento, help the police in a drug enforcement operation, went to Portland, restoring historic buildings, but I very quickly became engaged in the land use struggles there. And I was elected to Metro. The building industry opposed me overwhelmingly. We were outspent 10-1, but I still won with 68% of the votes because people were fed up. I don't think most people realize that the University of Oregon actually did a survey querying people, would Oregon be better if it had more people, fewer people, or stay the same? You want to guess what the answer was? 95% of the people in this state want to have fewer people. Fewer. The problem is 100% of the people that are in public office, especially in Jefferson County, they're part of the 5% that want more people. And that's why I have arguments with Kelly, because he supports all the builders' agenda, and I do not. I support local control, your control, and fiscal responsibility. Make growth pay its own way, and I've developed a measure to let you vote to make that happen.
Thank you, Bill. Kelly?
Well, in the spirit of the question, I guess, the proudest moments, I hate talking about, I think all the candidates would agree that it's difficult to talk about yourself, but one of my proudest moments, you spend 10 to 15% of your time in Salem battling against things that are going to be negative to your rural county, and then advocating for things that you want. And one of the things that we got across the finish line 2 legislative sessions ago, I went to who was at the time was the minority leader of the House, Vicki Breeze-Iverson, rep, and told her about a project at COCC that needed a little injection of cash on behalf of the county to create child care seats, to create the child care teaching program, as well as rural health education. You can get an RN in Madras at the COCC campus, which is pretty cool. And we were lucky enough to come out of that session with $4 million as the contribution from the county for that. So I think that's one of my proudest moments. I've had very, very good success in bringing dollars to our communities, whether that's drought relief or whether that's infrastructure and economic development type of dollars. I very much enjoy that space. I think I'm pretty decent at it. And that would probably be my most proud. My efforts didn't go unnoticed by my fellow colleagues. There's 120 county commissioners. They appointed me to be on the regional solutions team. Regional solutions team is the door to the office of the governor. And Governor Tina Kotek did appoint me to that position, so I'm awfully proud of that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. George,
Sorry with them.
would you like me to
This
repeat?
question's been every form, but with all these answers from other candidates kind of got me sidetracked. Yeah, can you please repeat that question?
Yes. What personal or professional accomplishment has been the most rewarding to you? And how does that experience relate to your position as county commissioner?
Yeah, I'll give you a funny answer first. Actually, probably my favorite thing in my life is when my kids were born. I cried when both of them were born. But anyways, when I went to the United States Marine Corps boot camp, we went there with 139 people. We graduated 38. So that proves that, they say in the Marine Corps, not everybody can become a Marine. You have to earn it. You can go to Marine Corps boot camp, you're not a Marine, you're a recruit. After that, I went to MCT, Marine Combat Training. It's kind of like a miniature infantry school. You're not a real infantryman, but you're a infantryman. And then I went to my MOS school, and I was meritoriously promoted to squad leader. So I was in charge, and that's how it can be leadership. I was in charge of about nine guys. When I put my mind to something, I can accomplish anything. When I set goals, there is no not accomplishing it. You can ask my wife, she's back there in the back. Since I signed up, I was the first person that signed up for position 1 to run this campaign. I haven't slept since October. I have my normal job. I've been working 12 hours a day. I have a second job, working extra. I've slept about 2 to 3, maybe lucky if I'm lucky, 4 hours a night, doing fundraising. I don't even know. You can look at my Orstar. I don't know how much I've raised, but I've raised a lot of money, and it's putting my mind to things. And if I put my mind to something, I can accomplish anything, and you can too. I won't be a part-time commissioner. I'll be a full-time. If I get this election, I will be a commissioner full-time, dedicated, and I'll be out here at your meetings at Camp Sherman, and I'll be there for you. We can accomplish anything together. Thanks.
Thank you, George. Greg, we'll start the next round with you. If elected, what would be the top 3 items you will be addressing for Jefferson County?
Well, the first item that I would be addressing would be the state of affairs that we find ourselves in regarding access to mental health and substance use disorder. I mentioned in my opening statement that it's not a one-issue campaign, because these needs, these situations impact employment, the ability to employ our residents. It impacts families. It impacts the well-being of our community. So that's going to be the first point that I'm going to address. In Jefferson County, we have what's referred to as a CMHP, a community mental health provider. There's one door of access for all of those services from a county perspective. That has to change. If there have been people that find themselves not qualified or not accepted into the Best Care program, that are left without options. The nonprofit that my wife is the executive director of has never asked the county for money. However, 3 times I want to take credit for it, but it's not me. She has approached the county with funding opportunities available, and to the tune of an estimated $7 million. Now, the behavioral health budget is $5.3 million. So there have been opportunities. Funding is not the problem. Access is the problem. And the way the county has structured that access has to change. like it has to change now.
Thank you, Greg. Ara?
Same question. If I'm in that seat, the first thing I want to do is meet every single employee in the county. I don't want to skip a single person. I need to understand exactly what the mission and the plan is going forward. I've watched our county commissioners hand out double severance packages. I've watched them hand out retirement packages. I've watched them hand out raises. Sometimes they correspond with COLA and sometimes they do not. I've also watched them completely ignore the Jefferson County Planning Commission. Sometimes they pay attention, sometimes they don't. And I don't understand what the overall goal is. I'm afraid Bill is right. I'm afraid that it is unrepentant land development. And we saw that on Crooked River Ranch just 2 years ago when they took some of our rangeland and they changed it to residential so they could put down something like 58 houses on 108 acres. And that's right behind our fire hall. It was land that our original owner, Bob McPherson, owned, and he wanted to gift it to the ranch about 15 years ago. We weren't sure how to use it. He wanted a nursing station in the community center. And as we were working on that, he passed away. And then his children took control, and their only goal here was development. It's the same reason why they spent $1.7 million of our Jefferson County dollars on almost 300 acres next to the airport so they could bring in a data center. And this was voted on over and over again. There was an entire Wayne Fording, Kelly Simmelink presentation before the city of Madras of how they wanted to do this. Their only goal here is to put forth more property taxes so they can spend the money on their own personal projects. It's unacceptable. I need to meet every employee, understand what the goal forward is, and understand what the people of Jefferson County want. We're at 25,000 people, 17,000 voters. Our school system in Jeffco is about $2 million short. Okay, we're in a situation where our personal income versus our personal spending and what it costs for a quality of life is the second worst in the state.
Bill?
Well, Eric, you and I are on the same page on a lot of this land use stuff, and the reason we focus on that is because you make a mistake in the land use, it lasts forever. I went back to my boyhood home in New York State and visited with friends I hadn't seen for 50 years and asked them, how do you like how things have gone? And they were disgusted. And absolutely disgusted. And I said, well, I warned you about that 50 years ago. So I've spent a lot of my effort in government dealing with the land use questions and how to deal with the problem in Oregon, which started out as a fabulous land use system that was, McCall was intent on empowering the citizens, primarily with the urban growth boundary, with your ability to collect system development charges, the costs of growth, and to make these decisions in your community. But over the last 30 years, that has significantly changed. It's all shifted to Salem and the developers, and that's why I developed a number of measures to deal with this, especially the urban growth boundary, the 20-year land supply, and the fact that you're never able to collect the full costs of growth. And I took these measures to the county commission, to every city in Jefferson County, and guess what? They all blew me off. Just like they blew us, the citizens in this community, off in this room. And that's why I'm doing this, because Kelly's on the other side of these issues for me. I'm in favor of local control and giving you control over the money, and he's not. He's carrying water for the developers, and they hate me.
Thank you, Bill.
Which is fine.
I don't think anybody could hate you, Bill.
Kelly.
I will just start with, I make no mistake, my number one priority is Highway 97 safety. Thanks to the good work of Commissioner Taylor and a consortium of commissioners up and down the I-97, I like to call it I-97 corridor here, finally gotten some wiggle room that we can foresee maybe some additional safety as well as, being able to carry more traffic, and that leads to good economics. And at the very end of the thing, it leads to us getting home safely at night. And so Highway 97's got to be a priority. Public safety, as your budget officer the last 2 years, we added another public safety officer, law enforcement officer to the budget. Hope to see some fruition. I know that's always been the topic out here. How do we get a Dave back? And it's tough. It's tough trying to find somebody that's willing to, one, live here or give enough hours out here. And that's a thing to continue the discussion with the sheriff about. Obviously, wildfire's got to be on your mind. Economic development takes a close but subtle third place, I guess. And it's got to be an economy that works for our citizens. I've led the fight for our irrigators. I've led the fight for our irrigators for a number of years in drought relief. I think the future, the crystal ball tells you next year is not going to be very favorable for our very ag-driven county, and it's sad. So digging in there, I do not like signing those drought declarations, but I understand them, and I will continue to do everything I can to add protection and that's it. Thank you.
George.
I'm going to address you guys. My top three, the top two are the same, but the third one is directly to you guys. So I want you guys, because every forum we've had the same question, but I want you guys to know what I want to do for you. And I hate we have to wait for elections for good things to happen. Today I met with the Black Butte police department. Why are we having a police officer's emergency, a domestic violence or a major crime, driving 2 hours from Madras to get here? We can contract with the Black Butte Police Department to make calls here. They're just right across the street. Why are we sending a car from Madras? It's 2 hours here, 2 hours back, maybe an hour on the call. That's 5 hours. One of our deputies is out of service. It's not cost effective. We need to contract with Black Butte to give you guys quick response time, because we need quick response time. The second one is we need to work on fire safety, because we don't have fire safety, this whole place is going to burn down, and then this community doesn't even exist anymore. And it'll be like the communities up on not by Subtle Lake, but over there on Highway 20 that are still trying to rebuild from a few years ago, IDANA or whatever, is we have got to lobby Salem to get more money for fire abatement and all this dead trees in the ground. We need to cut them up, and we need to clean that stuff up. So these beautiful trees here, because when the fire burns so hot, it kills them. But if the fire just burns through and it's not that hot, these trees are going to live. And the third one, because I spoke with Betsy Johnson for a half an hour on the phone today, and is about the TRT funds. You guys pay $250,000 in TRT funds, and you get back 30. And I also spoke with Roger and Kathy at the Camp Sherman store this morning, because they're friends of mine. You guys deserve that money for more advertising to get more people into your vacation homes. You should get more back because you pay. It shouldn't be a cash cow for Madras. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's three things that I feel like are basic government. That's transportation, whether it's the highway that some of the other commissioners are working on, but even just public works here locally, and how vital that is. I mean, you guys had a bridge that just kind of went gunny up with their inspection, and some of the staff jumped on it. We were able to shore that up and get things back on track. So some of those basic transportation deals, especially when it comes to county roads, how can we be more efficient? We got a couple examples, capital improvement master plans. So we're working on some paved roads that haven't been worked on in over 30 years and in dire need of replacement, and we're able to be very efficient with some of that money and be able to work on those roads. Another one is a gravel road master plan, being able to do some infrastructure upbuild on those gravel roads, but also include some defensible space along those roads, whether that's brush management or vegetation management. So those are some key things. Public safety, like Commissioner Simmelink said, and since I've been here 3.5 years, we've added 5 law enforcement officers. Most of them have dedicated services, whether it's code, they're working on drugs, doing a great job combating the drug use in Jefferson County. It's been a difficult job, but we stepped up to the plate and fully funded that when we didn't have support, as well as ATV, but we did add one individual new officer, and we'll see how that goes, and hopefully get some more support, because we know that's an issue out here. Community Wildfire Protection Plan, that's up for renewal here in the next year, and I want to really focus on that. I live in an area just like this. We're a volunteer fire association, and we shouldn't be really talking about 50 feet, 100 feet. It should be acres.
Thank you very much, Mark.
So thank you.
All right, we are going to start our next round, and it is management and governance. Each question will be different for this round. Ara, you will start.
Okay.
What do you see as the biggest public health challenge facing our community today?
It's the air quality and the fire. And when you send your kids to school and you get a notification that the kids are not allowed outside because the air quality is so poor, or there's a controlled burn, or there's a wildfire, and you're worried how they're going to do at school and how they're going to get home if the buses are going to run, that is the top. We live in a drought area. I believe Mr. Simmelink told us at the last forum that we were in the top 50 counties of drought-stricken year over year in the United States. So for me, right there. And that is because I work outside as well. I'm a house framer. I pour concrete. I build forms. I spend 12 to 14 hours outside every day. I'm sorry I'm dressed like this. I came right from work. I had a nice collared shirt on and pants at the other forums. This is how today worked out. The next step really is the education for our children for online usage and drug usage. We have to grow them right, we have to grow them up, and we have to make sure that they are protected. So for me, it's going to start with the fire. It goes to the education of our children. I'm worried. 2-3 years ago, I was up and I gave a couple of speeches, and I'm worried about the quality of our schools in Jefferson County. And I said, not only are we headed for a shortage of money, but during COVID, there were so few children born that we are going to have smaller and smaller classes. And each one of those kids is worth $1,500 to $2,000 to the state, to the school per year. Now, once those kids get through middle school and high school at a lower enrollment rate, our schools are going to have to figure out how to do something. The diesel in those buses costs more. Heating costs more. I was hoping that we could figure out how to go to a 4-day week, but Tina Kotek just signed something in effect that there are no 4-day school weeks in the state of Oregon. So this is a problem as well. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ara. Bill, does Jefferson County need more government subsidized housing?
Oh boy, I'm the wrong guy to ask about that, because I live in Madras, and for the last 6 months I've actually been involved with some of the folks that are in this audience to review and protest and take to LUBA a 72-unit project basically to house people that are in this country illegally. And we don't need more of that. Madras has the highest percentage of government subsidized housing in the state of Oregon. And I think there are many other ways that you approach this issue, and you don't come into communities like Madras. You're not going to have it here yet, although they've changed the law in Oregon. They have a thing called the housing needs analysis, and that's how they're justifying all the damage they're doing to Madras. They basically overzoned the whole city for apartments, so that if my neighbor's house is destroyed one way or another, they can put up a fourplex. Will they do that to you guys? Boy, don't count on it. This housing needs analysis is pretty pernicious. And it's just added on to all of the other elements that they've done to take away your control of being able to deal with your community. They took away your SDC, the ability to collect the costs of growth, make growth pay its own way. They've taken away the urban growth boundary issue, and now they've piled on this housing needs analysis.
Thank you, Bill. Kelly, do you support or oppose allowing more rural land for residential development in Jefferson County?
I'm sorry, can you repeat it for me real quick?
Do you support or oppose allowing more rural land for residential development in Jefferson County?
Well, and this is why I struggle to understand why Bill thinks him and I disagree. I don't think we disagree on much, to be honest with you, but that activity happens in cities, not in unincorporated areas. If we want to go back and talk about the case that's out at Crooked River Ranch, which was extremely, I think it's been repealed back to us twice probably, that I don't agree with the 50 number of homes on it. They should have made larger lots, but that's not what the developer set out to do when he went and got the zoning for that. So as a property rights owner, going to stand behind the property rights of each individual citizen, I struggle with that, and especially if you look at it from space, this is a 100 acres right smack in the middle of other houses in a residential HOA. So again, oppose or agree. We don't have the industry. One, we do not have the industry to support in jobs. So what do we become? The bedroom community for Redmond and Bend? I don't want that. I want to grow our own. Haven't got to mention that today, but I want our kids to not only live here, but be able to live here and have a home. My 21-year-old son makes pretty good money in our family business. We were talking last night at Mother's Day dinner, and by the way, happy late Mother's Day, but he has no real hope to get a home, and that's sad to me. And hopefully things will change, so thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. George.
Can we ask a question? Oh, not.
Nope.
Okay.
George, what is your experience in developing local infrastructure?
Wow, that's not my question. That's the question that Ara should have had. Honestly, I don't really think I have experiences developing local infrastructure. I'm not a builder, and so yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you, George. Mark, what do you believe is the single biggest challenge facing this county right now, and how do you plan to fix it?
I'm thinking, sorry.
Okay.
That's a hard question because a single most challenging topic. It's not. There is no one single. If you got the time to study or be in these shoes, the vast job description, whether it's public roads, whether it's public safety, whether it's public health, land use, I mean, you can go across the board, and that doesn't even talk about some of the state and federal areas that happen. So you got to be very diverse. You got to be able to accomplish a lot, know a lot, but also be a leader. Lean on the experts. And I talked about a little bit about our directors, and I feel like we have, if not the best directors as a whole across the state, we'd be in the top 5 for sure. And so leaning on those experts, and by doing that, you got to be a good leader. You got to be able to decipher what they're telling you, make good decisions, sometimes make decisions you don't want to. The first day of office, you swear an oath to uphold the federal, state constitution, and the laws of the county, which is your county code. And we made a decision out here that I'm sure people don't like, that I made, but I uphold the law. and what it is. And if we don't like the law, we want to change the law or need to change the law. And I think that's something we need to definitely talk about and work on. But my job, whether I like it or not, is I got to uphold the law. And those decisions aren't easy. But a good, strong leader has to make those decisions, whether they agree with them or not. And then we turn around and go work on the law, fix the law so it works best for everyone.
Thank you, Mark. Greg, what specific policy changes are necessary to encourage local employment and economic growth?
While I'm still learning about the economic development needs in Jefferson County, one of the things that I would be approaching it from the perspective of is being a county commissioner and having two other county commissioners engaged in making those choices and decisions along with me. I wouldn't be making a decision like that on my own. So it's difficult for me to even name the most important need, because it's part of my learning curve. It's part of me becoming acquainted with what policies need to change. The other thing that I would have access to, and that the commissioners would have access to, are the experts in any field that we would be considering as to what the remedy would be and what the policy needs to be in order to change it. However, the need to develop a skilled workforce and to have employment opportunities available is a huge need, particularly in the Madras, Culver, Metolius areas where the population and the housing needs. The other thing that needs to happen is infrastructure needs to go ahead of any decisions that are made for employment. If we don't have the infrastructure to sustain growth, then we are going to find ourselves without the opportunity to make any policy decisions.
Thank you very much, Greg. All right. We will now give you guys the opportunity to answer a question that another candidate was asked, and you will have 1 minute. Ara, would you like to answer another question?
Yes, please.
What question?
Yeah.
Whose question?
Do you mind?
Yeah, you go
Okay.
ahead, otherwise I'll do it.
We see a lot of turnover in our county, and you see people talk about the lack of transparency and decisions behind closed doors. That is a direct correlation to our leadership. If the how and the why could be explained to the citizens, and it could be made to understand why we made this decision, we wouldn't be here. Then the leadership could say, this is it. This is the path forward, and these are the reasons why. If the law was explained and the citizens understood that, and then we could work together as a team, that does not exist. It just does not exist. You can go and ask, how are these things done? You can ask for a Information Act, and you want something. They'll tell you to go to the state, and the state comes back and says, no, you go to the county for that. And this is repetitive. This is repetitive. 4 years ago, we were the most distressed county in the state. I don't know what we're talking about. I wish Mr. Simmelink would spend 15% of his time on Crooked River Ranch instead of in Salem, which is what I do. Because this is where the people live. Now, you want to go to Salem? Go to Salem. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Ara. Bill.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to address a question that came to Kelly about developing on rural lands. And I've made a lifelong study of this, followed it through the Hudson Valley of New York, the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, all of California, trying to figure out what we can do to put a stop to this. Kelly thinks it's a property rights issue. Excuse me, what about the public's property rights? If a guy that has 100 acres out there, if Madras wasn't there, if the other infrastructure wasn't in the community, what would that land be worth? Probably growing dryland wheat minus the cost of shipping down a muddy, rocky road. the public needs to be taken into consideration in this as well.
Thank you, Bill. Kelly? George?
Thank you. So policy changes and economic growth, they're all going to go together here. In the last 4 years, Jefferson County has lost so many services. They've outsourced our animal shelter. We're paying Brightside Animal Shelter in Redmond $86,000 a year, and they said they'd remodel the building. They never did. They're paying Redmond $86,000 a year, Brightside, to house a few bite dogs. That's it. Your 911, you don't have a 911 in Jefferson County. They've outsourced that to Condon. I want to try to bring these things back. Another thing in the last 4 years, we're not spending our money in our county. They quit buying Fords from TS&S in Madras and Chevys at the GMC in Madras. Now they're buying Dodges from Deschutes County. We need to spend our money in Jefferson County. Like Buy America, the job you save might be your own. How about start spending your money in Jefferson County, your tax dollars in Jefferson County, because the job you save might be your own.
Thank you. Mark?
Nope.
Greg?
No, thank you.
All right. That concludes our management and governance section. We will move on to policy. The primary duty of the county commissioner is to create and implement policy. The following questions identify a commissioner's priorities and the methods by which they hope to accomplish those goals. Bill, we're going to start with you with this round. It is determined that the land use codes from 2006 need to be updated. What would be your priority in getting the zoning in Camp Sherman up to date?
Getting the zoning in Camp Sherman up to date, my highest priority is let you develop your own planning. My priority is to try to get the state to turn this thing around, where they've taken all the control from local communities. As far as I'm concerned, I think you have a fabulous place. You need to be able to control it, but you've got a fight on your hands, I guarantee you. And if you want to have a nice place to live, you are going to have to fight for it, because there are people who are going to take it from you. And people have, as I mentioned earlier, 95% of the people in the state are with you. They want no more population growth, but there's a community of builders, realtors, I call them the real estate mafia. They do want population growth, and they want it at your expense. And they will take your money to get it. And they will mess up your community to get it. And this housing needs analysis thing, you really need to take a look at that. It's on the internet, the Oregon Housing Needs Analysis. This is their newest justification for changing the zoning, and they're really doing a number on Madras for sure. And this needs to change.
Thank you, Bill. Kelly, what would be your plan for getting funding for regular sheriff patrols in Camp Sherman?
Well, it already exists, but that is, the proof is in the pudding. And I spoke to the sheriff on the way over. I will just say what he told me specifically. I asked specifically about the Black Butte. Black Butte struggles to maintain a full force of their own. Now, there's not a lot of crime and activity that Black Butte is on the streets for. However, it is their police force. Sheriff Pollock did tell me that he feels with the ATV guy that we have on that ATV grant is doing some regular patrols out here. He feels like he's never been told no by Black Butte when it came to an assist. Mark and I or Commissioner Wunsch and I and Commissioner Taylor this year dedicated another FTE to law enforcement. But while we're on this topic of law enforcement, there's three legs to the stool. There's the DA's office, your community justice, which is your parole and probation. And to answer one of the questions earlier about what's the biggest problem, and it is unfunded mandates by the state and then a lack of funding things that they should. Our budget is a puzzle. We are given 100 shekels, and we are supposed to provide all of the services that are dire to our communities. And it's a tremendous job to try to fit these things in. There's a lot of, I wish if I had $15 million, man, I know exactly what I would do, where I would put it. And we have limited resources. We do the very best that we can with it. But again, we have a sheriff. We have these conversations every time we're out here. And I know full on well how important it is to have law enforcement out here, specifically in the summer.
Thank you, Kelly. George, what is your position for short-term rentals in Jefferson County, specifically for Camp Sherman?
That's a wonderful question. So I have a property in Crooked River Ranch, and I am against ADUs because we already have too much traffic out there. Everybody shouldn't have put every ADU in their property, because all it's going to do is double the traffic, double the amount of people are in here, and then you don't even know who's coming in your neighbor's property. And then if you say, well, we'll just put one ADU, how do you know your neighbor's not having two ADUs on their property? Then it's three. When is the end going to come? It's out of control. You have a piece of property, that's your property. If you want to put a hotel on your property, put a hotel on your property. There's like the Lake Creek Lodge. Have your Lake Creek Lodge. But why should people just keep putting more houses or other ADUs on their property, just trying to make more money? We have to learn to live within our means. So no, I am not for putting additional ADUs on people's property.
Thank you, George. Mark, if elected, what kind of support might Camp Sherman expect from you?
I think I addressed some of them earlier. Common themes that we've been working on: public safety. As Commissioner Simmelink said, we've added a general fund FTE, and that was a hard task. I mean, we pinched a lot of pennies, and that was Commissioner Simmelink's job, was to figure out how we can fund that. And it's not easy. General fund is $8 million, and that gets eaten up real fast. So public safety, and I think that's something that we need to look at really seriously. How do we get you more, especially in the summer months when you got outside people that are out speeding, drinking, where you guys live. And I think that's why I've been working on trying to reevaluate where the TOT money goes. Let's look at the baselines, where it's going currently. How do we restructure that? How do we be efficient with that money? There are some things that are done for the betterment of the whole county, and it's unfair to communities like Camp Sherman that are so far away from some of the general basic funds that are services that end up in the seat, which is Madras, whether that's the county fairgrounds or one of the biggest parks. But we need to restructure that, because we need to use some of that TOT money, especially in the summertime, to have law enforcement out here. And so that's one of the biggest things, is let's look at where the money's getting spent. Let's make the hard decisions and be efficient with that. And where that goes, that is the business of the sheriff, but definitely that's a key aspect that we need to really work on this year, is how do we get a little bit more, especially in the summertime, because I know that's very important to you guys.
Thank you, Mark. Greg, Camp Sherman is a residential community with recreational opportunities. How would you help maintain a balance of these two uses?
Yeah, thank you for that question. My approach would be to spend time with you, the residents here of Camp Sherman, to understand what your needs are and what your desires are, and then work to take that back to the county to arrive at decisions that are going to benefit Camp Sherman and have your best interest at heart. It's another area that I would be in the process of learning about. I don't have answers right now because it's not an experience that I've had. However, I'm a pretty quick study. So It would be working directly with you, the leadership here, the residents here, what your desires are, and then seeking alignment with the other county commissioners and the other departments that would be required in order to make the decisions that are going to be according to what your desires are, not what the county wants to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Ara, how would you balance your time as a commissioner with being in Camp Sherman along with other areas throughout Jefferson County?
This is a full-time job. There's no question about it. People didn't really talk about what we're talking about here. So I'm going to put detail to it, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. You've got illegal mushroom gathering without permits. You have illegal wood harvesting without permits. You have illegal dumping of trash without permits. You have illegal camping and campfires without permits. So great, we added all these law enforcement people. Awesome. How does that translate to you? For real, you go and think about this. And now for the first time ever, we're talking about increasing TOT funds for law enforcement. This is the same argument we've had, and here we are in an election year, and now we're talking about it. So when that budget proposal comes out in April, let's see who's up on those seats and what's actually being done. Because I'll just keep going building houses and pouring concrete and trying to make these 1,500 to 1,600 square foot homes on already regulated residential lots and try and help these first time homeowners get in and get their foot in the door to build some equity. You've built your equity. Now let's protect your equity. We have Jefferson Planning Commission that comes out here and talks to you and takes what they learn back to the county commissioners. Hopefully the commissioners come out on those days and get to hear firsthand. I would spend the same 10% that I've been spending out here in the Sisters, in the Camp Sherman, in the Metolius area that I have been. And that's why when I come out here and I talk, I know how old those curtains are. I know how you paid for this place. I know what the problems are down the street. I know what the headwaters of the Metolius looks like. Thank goodness my youngest child is about to go into his sophomore year of high school and he can drive. My goodness. Talk about freeing up some time. And my wife wants me off the ladder. And this is the next step. And I cannot stress that enough. I am thrilled what I just heard come out of Commissioner Wunsch's mouth about those TOT funds and getting them here to protect your spot.
Thank you, Ara. All right. Is there any candidate that would like to answer a question another candidate was asked? We'll start with Bill. No. Kelly? George?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I would like to talk about the public safety. I'm thankful that the current commissioners have added 5 deputies. I'm thankful that they've added an ATV deputy. Mark said how the funds are tight. There's not enough money to go around. So forget response times for you guys out here at Camp Sherman. There's no way they're going to have a deputy out here 24/7. There's no way. It's not possible. And I've talked with the sheriff. The sheriff, honestly, he's a great guy. I love Jason Polk. He's a good guy. But he doesn't want to lose the funding. And I think Kelly's a reasonable guy. If I'm lucky enough to get elected, I've talked with Kelly. He's a great guy. We will make a contract. That will be my number one goal. We will make a contract with the Black Butte Police Department so they can respond to emergency calls. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Department can respond to minor calls. When there's emergency calls, we need somebody that's across the street to get here fast.
Thank you, George. Mark?
Yeah, I'd like to answer the one George had before, but can you repeat it real quickly just so I have the whole
Yes, I
topic?
can. What is your position for short-term rentals in Jefferson County, specifically Camp Sherman?
Yeah, so this was a topic that came up here recently, and I will reference that some of the leadership and abilities of this job is making decisions you don't necessarily want to make, but that's the law. And that's what happened in that position was I interpreted what was in the code, and that's what I felt the law was. Do I believe the law is correct? And especially out here, absolutely not. And so that's something that's been on our priority list for probably 3 years, is working on short-term rentals. And with some of the staff turnover, that is just a topic that we haven't got to. And so that is a topic that we need to work on and definitely get your guys' input. I mean, it is your community, and I want to know exactly what it is that you guys want. Short-term rentals was not a term back when this code was built. And so that changes the whole definition. And so that is a priority. And now that we're staffed up, I think we can really look at this community by community and figure out what we need to do.
Thank you very much, Mark. Greg, would you like to answer the question of the candidate? Ara?
What was Greg's question, please?
Greg's question was, Camp Sherman is a residential community with recreational opportunities. How would you help maintain a balance of these two uses?
So we're going to find out real fast what this ATV $158,000 approved from the state is going to look like, and who's going to be out here and how much time they're going to be out here. And so this is something that just got approved. It was money that came down from the state, and now we're going to know in about a year. And I want to keep an open mind about this because I'm not really sure how this translates. If you have side-by-side zipping up and down this street, not paying attention to walkers and horseback, that's one thing. If you don't hear them and you don't see them, that's another thing. So in this case, I like what the county commissioners did because they weren't sure. So they were gathering data. They don't know what they're supposed to do. They took some cues from the state and from other counties in Oregon, and we're about to find out. I like that this is not a set in stone thing and that we'll be able to come back to this after we get feedback from the specific neighborhoods. There are things that they've done that I do appreciate.
Thank you, Ara. All right, that concludes our policy round. We are moving on to budget and finance, and we will start with Kelly. As a county commissioner, what is your role in the budget approval process?
Well, wonderful question. I've served as the budget officer for the last 2 years. I kind of described it a moment ago. You're given XYZ 100 shekels, and you got to fit together all the little puzzle pieces. We budget very conservatively at the county, right off of whatever the assessor says, this is what we believe we're going to bring in for the year. We knock off 6%, and that's kind of where we start the budget process. The budget process is done with 3 public members as well, and along with the 3 commissioners. And we sit through the proposals of each individual department and what their goals are, what their needs are. Something that was brought up this year was looking to possibly create a rainy day fund. And there isn't any extra money, but it would be savings that if you say you budgeted 1.5 million for something and you only came in at 1.3, would there be 200 still available that you could store away? Number one thing we've done very, 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 very well is investment. We have a local government investment portfolio that gets 4% interest. We are well diverse in our holdings as well as our investments. But as we all know, property values are what drive the budget. And, if there was a catastrophic loss at Camp Sherman, Crooked River Ranch, North Madras Heights, wherever, you still have to provide the services to all the citizens that live in the county. And so we're very frugal with the money. I would say we're as conservative as anybody in the state. And I thoroughly enjoy the budget process. And we are looking for other members
Thank you, Kelly.
from the community.
Thank you very much. George, are there any projects the county has financed that you would like to see cut?
No, I don't really think that there's projects that the county has really financed or done that. But I do believe that we need to stop becoming real estate agents as county commissioners. About believe it was 2.5 years ago, our current county commissioners bought the Miller Lumber property in Madras, Oregon for $375,000. With your tax money, they're supposed to be for services. It only appraised for $325,000. So the county commissioners paid $50,000 more than the property wasn't even worth. Can you imagine that? $50,000 more than the property's even worth? And then they went up to on top of the hill in Madras and bought a 185-acre farm property that they want to develop, make some kind of develop. So they want to take your farm property and make it into some data center or residential area. Are you aware when you have a property that has water rights, it doesn't matter if you get 1 drop of water or you get your full allocation of water, guess what? You pay for that water. It doesn't matter if you get a drop or nothing. We need to stop being real estate investors, and we need to start giving the services to our people.
Thank you, George. Mark, what does the expression fiscally responsible mean to you in terms of county budgeting and spending?
Yeah, so I think that's pretty plain, being very conservative, being very tight, being very efficient with the money that you get. As Commissioner Simmelink said, the funds aren't wide and vast. And when you have those 100 shekels, there's 10 shekels that have to go to this with specific guidelines. There's 15 that have to go to that. And so when you get down to the bottom of it, there's very little that you have much flexibility with. And you have to be super efficient, especially when we are a county, for whatever reason, that economy-wise has been at the bottom of the state for many years. We recently have got bumped up in those rankings, and 3 years ago we were number 1 as far as most distressed, and now we're 8. So I do feel like we're tracking in a better direction, but we have a long ways to go. But you have to be very conservative. And when I talk to some of my colleagues across the state, there's at least 18 counties that are drastically cutting services to their county budget right now because of the financial position they're in. Jefferson County and a lot of the good management of that money over the last probably 15, 20 years has shown stable services. We didn't have to cut any major funding this year, where at least 18 other counties are drastically cutting, whether it's 10, 15, 20, 30 FTE. That really hits when it comes to services that are provided to the government. So, and it goes along with how I'm running my campaign. I've spent $600 to get my name in the voters pamphlet. That's it. I've reused my signs from last time, and I've spent $600. So I'm showing you exactly how I do. I'm a rancher at heart. You got to figure out how to be thrifty.
Greg, what is the process of budget adoption?
I sat through part of the review of the budget as part of my candidacy. I sat for 2 days going through and participating as an observer of what that process is. So again, it's part of my learning and understanding what the budget process is. Every department presented to the county commissioners, plus was it a couple of the citizens that serve on the budget committee. They presented, every department presented their budget. And there were questions and conversation, dialogue that took place between the budget committee. Upon every department, there was a review process by the budget committee, and then the budget was voted to be adopted. So again, I'm going to be getting educated in more detail because there was a lot of planning that took place prior to those 2 days that I sat and listened to the presentations of the departments moving in the process of approving the budget. I will say that process, I really appreciated the way the commissioners and the budget committee conducted business with each of the department heads that came and presented. I appreciated the civility. I appreciated the way that they showed respect and honored each of the department heads and the folks that presented the budget. So thank you for that, guys.
Thank you, Greg. Ara, if elected, what would be your top 2 funding priorities?
I want to bring every dollar that we spend out of the county back into the county, and I want to take a hard look at it. Wes listed off a few of the programs that we spend money out of the county. A lot of those are jobs that could be right here. I'm also incredibly interested in how we're going to value this rainy day fund, because we can stick as much money into a fund that we know is not going to use it all. And then after the day is over, we can stick it in a rainy day fund, and then they will have no restrictions of how to spend this. And that's how we get to pet projects. When I sat through my 3rd out of the last 7 years proposed budget meeting, I heard the word under stress, general fund is under stressed, and a strained budget over and over again, 15 times, and not just from one person. Madras is losing their 2nd bank. Wells Fargo is leaving. They're down to 1 bank. Okay? This rosy picture of how we've risen, I don't even know where it comes from. A few counties have fallen on hard times, and we went from 3rd to 7th. Okay, but we were 1, 3, 3, and 7 over the past 4 years. Now, the ratio may not have changed, but the more that you have put in does not translate to the more services you have. And Crooked River Ranch has lost several services. And one of the main services is how much time we get for patrol and what we do with bite dogs and animals that are loose. Those are services we have lost. Those are jobs that, unless we try to get them back, are gone. I mean, we're out here with 2 incumbents sitting in a place that they refuse to fund and restore. I don't even know why. I come from a place where we go in there and we beg them, please come to these meetings, come to our SRD. We control 100 miles of roads on Crooked River Ranch. They control 10. The job they do on the 10 miles of road they control is pathetic. They left asphalt cow potties everywhere. We're out there with shovels trying to scrape them off the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Ara. Bill, if elected, how will you secure extra funding opportunities from Salem?
How would I secure extra funding from Salem? Actually, I think we need to go back into the land use issue again, and that they're forcing us to, with the 20-year land supply, they force communities to expand whether they want to or not. And then they prohibit you from collecting the system development charges that let you pay for that growth. That's one of the largest unfunded mandates in this state. People don't realize how much the new growth is subsidized in this state. Credible studies, probably the best one by Eben Fodor in 2002, pegged it at about $343 per capita per year that are subsidies to growth. And we need to be able to change the law and bring that so that communities can decide whether they want to have growth pay its own way or not. And I've drafted this measure that I presented to the county commission, and they gave it a big thumbs down, that lets you vote on whether or not you want the community to subsidize new growth. Remember, residential development does not pay its own way. Most of your taxes are paid by commercial and industrial development. Agriculture, incredibly, pays a little bit more than what they consume in resources. And having counties go out and push residential development.
Thank you. Okay, we are at the end of our budget and finance. Is there any candidate that would like to answer a question another candidate was asked? We will start with Kelly.
That's for now.
George? Mark? Greg?
No, thank you.
Ara?
I went to that budget proposal meeting and I listened to the DA talk about how hard it was to get somebody to come and move here and stay here. We are looking for trained professionals who want to move and work here. And we are making it harder and harder on them every day. And that is because our personal income versus the cost of living is the second worst in the state. They upped our animal shelter budget to $121,000, $124,000. It was under $100,000. We're budgeting that money out to Deschutes County. That's going to be the first thing they pull out and put in a rainy day fund. This is a bait and switch. You make no mistake about this. It is. And that ends with me. I live in the details. I will be honest. I will not lie by omission, which is the worst kind of lie, when you get a little kernel of truth, and then over here is the lie, sandwiched between two. That is against everything I believe in.
Thank you, Ara. Bill?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to address this question that Kelly had about budgeting and in the counties. One of the counties do not build good cities. They never have, never will, but they can really screw up cities. The county commission has recently allowed the development of trophy houses on viewed lots outside of the city of Madras, so that they drive through the community's streets. We can't drive through theirs. Their kids get bused to school, our kids have to walk. I think you get the picture. But that really plumps up the county's budget, but it really ends up costing the city. And it creates a community that's going to require more and more policing, and that costs money.
Thank you, Bill. That concludes our budget and finance questions. We are now entering our closing statements. George, you will have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
So thank all you guys for coming out here tonight. I just want to say thank you. And I have a lot of great ideas, I think, but at the end of the day, what really matters is what you guys think. I want to hear what you guys think. And I want everybody to ring my phone off the hook, because I want to be a full-time commissioner. I want you guys just to call me, leave me messages, make me sick of hearing from you, send me emails so I can hear from you. And back when I was in the Marine Corps, they taught us attention to detail, attention to detail. Mark's a wonderful guy. Come over to my house, have dinner tonight. But attention to detail. He just talked about he paid $600 to be in the voters pamphlet. He is the only candidate that didn't put any attention to detail. He's the first candidate that has never put a picture in the voters pamphlet. If you can't put a picture in the voters pamphlet that you paid $600 for, how can you run the county? I've never even heard of that. But what I want to do is I want to listen to you guys. If the governor's Tina Kotek, she'll work with me. Christine Drazen spent over an hour with me. Dudley, Deal, and Medina came to my event at Aspen Lakes, my golf. They all spoke. It was a great time. I got every single one of their cell phone numbers. I'm a good person. I'm easy to get along with, and I can bridge the gap. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. I'm on your side. And if you guys bring topics to me, I'll take it to Mr. Taylor, which I think is a wonderful commissioner, and whoever wins here, I'll bring your ideas to them, and we'll make an educated decision, because my ideas aren't always right. It's what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think. It's not about me. I have ideas, but I want to know if you guys like my ideas. If you don't like my ideas, we're not going to go there. But I want to hear from you. And if I do get elected, please call me every day. Ring my phone up the hook. Tell your friends to call me. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Mark.
First of all, I just want to thank everyone again for coming out tonight. You guys had other options to do tonight, and I did as well. I got a 10-month baby at home, as well as a 9-year-old that'll both be asleep when I get home, and it really sucks. And that was a big deciding factor when I decided to run again, was I'm going to miss out on a lot of important things with them. And that tears me up every single day. But I also understand the value of what I'm teaching them. That I'm teaching them to be a good leader, a good community servant. And I hope that multiplies in their brains when they get older of what kind of example I was to them. I just want to go back to a few things: public safety, transportation, public safety, and economics. That's the basic needs of any county government, and that's what we need to stick to, is the basic needs. We can't go out spending money on pet projects by any means. Rainy day fund is not for pet projects. It's for disasters. If there's fires or floods or whatever the case is, that's what that's going to be designed for. I think you got to be careful. Full-time job means full-time wage. We're getting paid half-time right now, so just in a matter of a year or two, that wage is going to go up another $50,000, $60,000, and that cuts services. And we don't need full-time commissioners. We need part-time commissioners that are dedicated and efficient with their time and money to get the job done. I just want to thank everyone for coming out. I asked for your vote by May 19th so I can continue. It wasn't an easy decision to run again, but I know there's some really good work that I got going on, and I want to continue, including the strategic plan, which I didn't get to tonight, but it's going to set this county up for success.
Greg.
Yeah, thank you all for attending tonight. Thank you for your attention. My approach is to listen to you. You are why I'm running. I do have something that beats my heart that I am going to be paying attention to, and that's the way that we service people that are suffering from mental health and substance use disorder. The way we've done it, literally for the last 20 years, it's absolutely a disgrace. And I'm not laying the blame at Best Care, because I know a number of people that have received services that have experienced tremendous growth and healing. But the county has been negligent in their approach and how those services are provided. I've visited two different counties to find out how they do their community mental health provider programs. And they don't do it the way we do it. They have more than one provider that can provide access and is also funded by the county. Instead of having one door of entry, we need multiple doors of entry. We need the county to be participating with as many providers in that regard as possible. And there are providers that are literally shunned and disregarded, though they bring legitimate, not only funding opportunities. We're not talking about organizations that are coming asking for money. We're talking about organizations that have brought funding opportunities to the tune of millions of dollars.
Thank you, Greg. Ara.
Monday. This was our third and our last forum. Next week, we're going to figure out where we stand. I don't understand how the money is spent. They spent $2.5 million on real estate deals. We got a bunch of parking lots. We got some water rights. They still sit vacant and empty. That's not a county. That is just splurging money down the toilet. I don't even understand what we're doing that property. I can't get a straight response. Are we having a data center? Are we not? Are we tearing them down? Are we inviting private businesses in? That is not respect for your money. It is simply not. And not only that, but the echo chamber that our leaders live in Madras is massive. They don't listen to anybody on the outside. And when they do hear a voice from the outside, they stamp it out. This is our second treasurer that is not elected. You think about that. This is our second treasurer, in which our first treasurer a couple of years ago on a trumped up clerical error was dismissed and they appointed somebody. Then in the last election, Jeff Rasmussen ran as the treasurer against someone else that they didn't want in place so they wouldn't become our treasurer and run unopposed, and then immediately quit their job and they put someone in they can control. And when you do this to our democracy, the person you put in there, in that elected official position, is someone that is beholden to the person that gave them the job and not the voters. And that is the exact opposite of what this job is. I will be the best employee you have ever had. And I will do that by showing up, letting you know the how and the why we came to these decisions. I have a vested interest in this place. Not I'm just going to say the words public safety and transportation. There has to be some meat behind that, some intelligence, a plan forward, instead of just saying these dog whistle words and then clearing the path for someone to just hand you a plate of food and to enjoy it, whether it's lukewarm or cold. It is disgraceful. Thank you for your vote now and in November.
Thank you, Ara. Bill.
I've made it a number of suggestions tonight about land use and planning. That's always been my focus, because those are the kinds of decisions that you can't go back and fix, and you will live that forever. How to handle roads, I'm not exactly sure how that plays out. I'm very interested in everything these guys say. I learn something every time. And about having to address the social safety net. I think there are a lot of ideas out there, especially on in a rural county, to provide opportunities. They used to call them work farms, but I guess now we have to call them rehabilitation farms, but to allow people to learn skills and participate. People who work live better than people who don't. They're physically better, they're mentally healthier, they carry themselves with a grace and dignity that they didn't have before, and I think the county has a role in participating in that. But I'm particularly concerned that this county is in the target of people who want to make money from subdividing land and building houses at your expense. And I have ways to address that and fix it. May have to go to Salem and argue the case there. I definitely would like to participate in the update of the comprehensive plan. And I definitely would like to bring to you the model ordinance that lets you vote on the costs of growth.
Thank you, Bill. Kelly.
Thank you, Whitney. Again, thank you all for coming tonight. We've got to know each other over the last 7 years we've been dating. I thoroughly enjoy this job. I do all of my work in front of you, whether that's if you want to go back and watch meetings, if you want to attend in person. We come out here once a year. We go 3 times a year to Cricketer Ranch. And then our 6 times a year, I guess, with the City of Madras joint meetings. There's not a lot I can tell you. You know who I am. You've seen my work. I take a lot of pride in my integrity, my honesty, my professionalism. I try to represent Jefferson County to my very best abilities. I listen. A lot of folks call me the phone book because I guarantee you I'm not the smartest person in this room, at this table, but I know who is, and I know how to get your problems solved. And I want to continue doing that. We've got a wonderful team at Jefferson County. We're up to 159 employees that I think are delivering quality customer service, which at the end of the day, that's what we're all about. Are there ways to improve? Absolutely. And that it is a big organization. So when we talk about law enforcement, you absolutely have to have your sheriff in lockstep with you, what you're doing. We've given him the tools. We hope that we can get better enforcement. But again, when it comes down to it, being fiscally responsible, I'm a businessman first and foremost, besides my commission job, but trying to put that puzzle piece together, all those puzzle pieces together to deliver the services that you deserve is my number one goal. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you, Kelly. On behalf of the Madras-Jefferson County Chamber of Commerce, we would like to thank the candidates for your time, and you are welcome to stay and speak with those in attendance. Thank you to the Jefferson County Library staff for assisting with the recordings of these forums, which will be posted on the Chamber website and the Chamber social media feeds. Thank you to the Ranch Chapel, not the Ranch Chapel. Thank you to, oh my gosh. Camp Sherman, thank you for allowing us to use your space to hold this community forum. Thank you to the audience for attending, and thank you to those who submitted questions. Tonight concludes our candidate forum series. There is such an importance on community engagement and your right to vote that we continue to encourage you to get your ballots into the box by May 19th. Thank you again, and have a good night.